Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our preview series, looking ahead to Arsenal's next game against... Oh, who is it? Who could it be? Who could it be? It's the North London derby. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's a game that I know a lot of people hate the build-up of. I'm one of those people. I hate kind of all the chat and the talk around who's going to be fit, which Spurs players are meant to not be involved and then turn up and score a hat-trick the next day. We know how this works now as Arsenal fans. So it's going to be an interesting game. I'm going to be joined by, as always, some of our members from the Discord server to talk through this, go through our lineups, talk about the team news, tactical decisions, and of course, get your predictions in the live chat box as well. However, got a quick thing to talk about first. On the channel, we'd like to kind of hype up local community projects and also a lot of kind of Arsenal-related projects as well. And Fran from Scene Sketches is having what is quite a brilliant sketch of hers put into apparel and merchandise and stuff like that. I've not been paid to talk about this. This is not an advert, if you like. This is purely coming off the back of what I think is some fantastic work. I've ordered one of the pieces myself. You can now see a really ugly picture of me modeling it as best I possibly can. But it's a brilliant piece of work that actually could perhaps even be going into the armory at the Arsenal Stadium, which is quite cool in itself. Waiting to get confirmation on that. But if you want to get your hold of one of these, you can get them in black and white. And I mean, I recommend the black one, obviously, for obvious circumstances, because it's all I wear. But you can get them in some great options, t-shirts, other stuff like sweatshirts and things too. So go and get involved and help support it, because hopefully Fran is going to get into a position where she can start putting some of the money towards some great causes like Gunners v Cancer. So it's definitely worth getting involved in. Anyway, let's get that ugly, horrible picture of me off the screen and introduce to you my guests for today's preview show. First of all, it's Kian. How you doing, mate? You good, you well?
What's up? We go from the ugly selfie to ugly me. Let's go.
You shouldn't put yourself down like that, son. You're an actor. You can't be putting yourself down like that.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff. How are we? Have we enjoyed the international break? How has it been?
No, I hated it. Not gonna lie. Being from Ireland, you can't enjoy it. Let's be honest. Well, we had a poor game against Scotland. Tierney was in doubt. I was more worried about Tierney, about North London Derby, than I was about Ireland. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into this properly.
Absolutely. We're also joined. It's been a while. Really happy to have him back. It's Zamir. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
I'm good, Tom. Thanks for having me back on. It's good to be back on after a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pleasure as always. How is it across the pond? I know there's things going on right now over there. Are you safe and sound?
Yeah, thankfully I'm out of the way. We'll get some of the outer bands here up north, but just say a prayer for people in Florida. They've been through like a very devastating storm recently and along the eastern seaboard. So thankfully I'm not, in the way, but if you can support any of the communities down there in Florida, please do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that we've got listeners who are certainly in that area and have left comments saying that they are as well, even members too. So if you are, our thoughts, of course, are with you. And if anyone listening can offer anything up to help support the causes, helping to kind of, combat that stuff, then please go and research and find out how indeed to go and do that. And finally, joining us as well from the Lake District after a long drive up, I assume, today, it's Alex Jones. How you doing, mate? You good, you well?
I'm not too bad, thank you, guys. How are you doing?
Not bad. Now, of course, you're based down south, so it must have been quite the drive up to the lakes today.
Yeah, I drove from Bournemouth to the Lake District. Arrived at 10 to 6. And
wow, that's you're literally jumping off the car and into the street. What time did you leave this morning? Must have been about 10?
Yeah, about 9:30, 10 o'clock. Yeah,
it is a long drive from down south up to the lakes in the north. So fair play to you. I have done it myself. In fact, there's a funny story where I drove all the way up there to climb Scarfell Pike, and as I was driving towards the mountain, hit the biggest pothole you've ever seen, burst 2 tires in the middle of nowhere, and then didn't have any signal to call a recovery vehicle. It spent all day trying to get the car fixed, and in the end, I didn't climb the mountain, and I drove all the way home afterwards. It was a mental day, but that's a long story short, and certainly one of my best men at my wedding were happy to tell in one of their speeches. Anyway, let's bring the focus back round to the North London derby. Kian, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are we and why?
No matter what, no matter how well we're playing, it's always a 10. It's the North London derby. Come on, let's be honest. I already had 2 customers in work who I know, like, they're 7-year-old girls, and they're like, "Come on, you Spurs! Come on, you Spurs!" I'm like, it was so the worst thing ever. But even then, it's just the worst feeling. Like I was at the Northland Derby last year. It's one of the best atmospheres, but I just think it's going to be that extra up there this year. It's always the players are always up for it, and that's why I think we'll just about edge it. If you notice in the last few years, it's been whoever's at home takes away the 3 points, and I think that's going to be the case again tomorrow.
Trust me, I can empathise with having small children shouting annoying things when they know you're an Arsenal fan as a former teacher. Very frustrating indeed. Zamir, again, kind of nerves. How are they feeling ahead of this, or you're actually quietly confident going into this one?
I mean, it's a derby, so I wouldn't say I'm confident because anything can happen, but I do feel comfortable because I think this is probably the best side we've been able to put it up against them since the Torreira game, the 4-2 at home. So this is probably the best side. Lots of talent on our team, good amount of depth. We've got different options. We're on a good streak, going in with confidence, and so are they, right? No matter how you criticize their style of play or criticize them, at the end of the day, they're right behind us. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the winner of this kind of goes top, aside from City. So it could be a preview for the run-in. Who knows? But it's a big challenge. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everybody. Of course, joining us in the chat box as well. Thank you for everybody that is indeed. Craig, thank you for your kind donation. TC is indeed back. Hope you're doing well, my friends, and you too, fella. Hope you're having a fantastic time. Paul Murphy as well. Thank you so much. Hi, Tom. Glad you had a good time on the honeymoon after the Brentford game and seeing how much their styles are like Spurs. I have never been more confident going into a North London derby, refereeing decisions, of course, being aside from that 3-0 prediction. I mean, Alex, do you agree with Paul? Is there, having seen the way that Brentford play and how Spurs play, do you think that their style kind of enables Arsenal to be even better than we think they could be?
I think the style's difficult because it's one thing to have the style that's similar, but they do also have, a significantly better team. Kane, Son, Kulusevski. They've got a lot of really good players, and I really quite like Højbjerg as well. So I'm not as up to date on injuries as I might have otherwise been, but I do know that there's a few across both squads. But I'm actually quite confident, as confident as you can be. But I think their centre backs will really struggle against Jesus and my star man for the day, which we'll see later down the line. So I'm actually quite confident, and I'll be watching it for the first time outside of my hometown, which is it's very strange. I've never watched a North London derby outside of where I've lived before, so we will see. But I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a strange one when you do watch away. I'll tell you, watching the Brentford game when I was away on my honeymoon, first of all, that did happen. And no, it didn't annoy the missus. It was all agreed, pre-planned. I had like a contract laid out. She couldn't get annoyed at the fact I was watching the game, and it was all fine. But it was weird watching it out there, and you can't really. It's weird because obviously being in a hotel as well, I couldn't be too loud. When Fabio Vieira banged in that 30-yard screamer, it was trying to be as reserved as possible in the nice recluse, quiet hotel that we were staying in, but that was indeed a challenge. Let's go to Igbo, who says, Tom, aside from any refereeing decisions, we will, and of course keeping their counter attack in check, we will be fine. Kian, Alex referenced Gabriel Jesus there as well, and I know it's been something that we've talked about before. He is on 4 yellow cards at the moment, which means that if he is to get booked in this game, he will miss the Liverpool fixture, which is quite a scary feeling and thought and possibility that might happen. Do you think that will change in any way the way in which he approaches the game? Because he's got mainly those yellows for being a little bit, I know the tactical fouls are coming from his time at City, but also there's been a bit of, angst and personality about the yellow cards, which of course in a derby is always dialed up to 11. So do you have a concern about that situation?
Right. Personally, no. And that's because I reckon, and I know it's Arsenal, we should win every game, but if we beat Spurs, I'm kind of giving it a free hit against Liverpool. Because let's be honest, we don't expect to be winning the league. At the same time, we all laugh and joke and say we're winning the league. But I would rather us beat Spurs, get that big game out of the way, and then whatever happens against Liverpool kind of happens. Because it'll be kind of a free hit kind of situation. And also Eddie, when he comes on, he's playing very, very well. So I wouldn't be worried about Eddie starting against Liverpool either. Especially when you see the likes of Mitrovic and um, who else were they playing? Eze when they came up against the likes of Van Dijk, it kind of feels like they're so young. They know that they can run at him. So that type of situation, I wouldn't be too worried at all.
Fair enough. Look, I think that there is for me a little bit of a worry around that. I think if he gets, look, I genuinely think that this is the best chance I've ever had at beating Liverpool in quite a serious long time. And not obvious. I know we won the game where Lacazette and Nelson scored, but that kind of was at the end of a season and they'd already won the league. But this is kind of an early point in the season where it could be a really massive moment, and Jesus' absence would be a massive blow. So I am slightly concerned. It is probably going to happen between now and the point at which it would get written off. We can probably expect that Jesus is going to miss one game because of this suspension situation. But yeah, I'd much rather it happened against the likes of Leeds or Southampton and Nottingham Forest, for instance, than Liverpool, because we could really do with him in that game as well. Other areas of the pitch to be focused on: Kulusevski, Zamir is said to be missing potentially for this, which means it's most likely the front three of Son, Kane, and Richarlison. Yeah. Now, if there's ever been a game that seems more suited to Richarlison's character, it's the North London derby. A very dislikable character, a very easily hateable character for many, I'm sure. Is there any concern for you in Richarlison coming in, or do you actually think that's a bit of a downgrade on the Swede?
Personally, I think it's a little bit of a downgrade because I really rate Kulusevski. I think he's incredible, and I think his ball control and his ability to find Kane on those crosses, and then on the back post, Son, switching the play. Kulusevski is a lot better than Richarlison on that. I think Richarlison will carry the ball 50, 60 yards like it will be and just kind of fumble it out. So that's fine. The only thing is, with Richarlison, he does get under your skin, and what we have to be careful about. We have a young squad. We can also have hot tempers going, and more often than not, those decisions will go against us. So I think as long as we keep our mentality and our mental cool in check, then I think I'd be more worried if Kulusevski was playing. Which, by the way, I think he's going to play. I think it's just mind games.
You think it's just mind
games?
games?
Yeah. Kulusevski's going to play. For sure.
We'll have to wait and see. That is kind of the way it goes for Arsenal in these senses. Let's go to the lineups. And Alex, we start with yours. You've obviously got a team there that I think most people would say is our best team with everybody available and fit. And you've got obviously Bukayo Saka as the star man. Are you expecting him to have kind of a big home derby like he did last season?
Yeah, well, I think I'm not going to sit here and say that he's been playing badly at all, but I think the expectations are so high on some of the younger players in the squad that when he's not sort of scoring or assisting, maybe there's a few ruffled feathers around. But to be honest, I think what he offers is, you have Martinelli, Saka and Jesus, who all demand more than one person on them in those one-on-one situations. Yeah. And where we haven't had that in the past, because we haven't had necessarily, I think Lacazette was very good, but he never really demanded multiple people on him because he's not the most mobile of forwards in the scheme of how quick defenders are now. But I think Saka's due to have a really good game. I don't really think that Spurs' defense is all that great. Personally, I think they've definitely improved upon it, but I think Saka always performs well when they have wing backs, because as long as he doesn't get sort of pinned back by the wingers, I think he'll be able to get up there and attack. And Jesus is always going to be a great vocal point for the other two. And if we can get Martinelli wide one-on-one, I think he'll absolutely embarrass players, to be honest. So,
yeah, that Emerson Royale or Matt Doherty or Jed Spence, whoever they go for, seems to be an area where Arsenal can hopefully exploit. Because, you know, whilst Romero is a fantastic centre-back, and I think if we were doing like combined 11s, Romero, I think, would probably feature in most people's, he will be exposed by that lack of cover if one of them overextends or goes forward, and Martinelli and Zinchenko or Tierney, whoever's playing at left back, is going to be able to hopefully exploit that. I say whoever plays at left back because whilst Alex has gone for Zinchenko, Samir, you've gone for Tierney. So talk us through your team, Saliba being your star man, and some of the changes you've made.
Yeah, I think overall the lineup's pretty similar. I think the change that I made is putting in Kieran Tierney because, as we know, Spurs are a counter-attacking team. Those front three like to hit on the break and get back quickly. I think Zinchenko is not as good a defender as Tierney, in my opinion. And I think we could really use Tierney's athleticism, also going forward, as the three center backs will kind of slot into a back three, and Tierney kind of provides that support to Martinelli as he tucks in with Jesus. So I think the balance of the team is better when we have White at right back and Tierney at left back. I think I've picked Saliba as my star man because I think he's learned from the United game. I think we're going to see a similar setup, similar tactics, and I think he's probably going to manage Son and Kane pretty well. I think last year we saw the limitations of Rob Holding when he was put in those similar situations one-on-one against those guys, and I think Saliba, I'm at a loss of words of how to compliment him. He's been fantastic, and I also think like he's really matured, Tom. Like, he's a very smart player. He's very athletic. He makes good decisions, and overall, I expect him to impose himself on this game.
Lovely stuff. Let's finally go to Kian's team. You've gone for Zinchenko over Tierney, and Martinelli, you feel is going to be a star man, which is the least surprising thing on the planet.
Can you just do me a favor? Go up to Gooner 8, David. He's got it perfect. The reason why he's star man. Martinelli's going to cook chicken royale. All right. Emerson, who is he?
I don't like that Emerson, who's a bad footballer, is.
I know. I think he's
named
player,
by such a nice burger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's too nice of a compliment for Emerson.
I think Emerson's good. He just hasn't fit in the Premier League yet. And the same with Matt Doherty. Like, somebody even said it there during the Irish international game that Matt Doherty is worse than Seamus Coleman, and look at the age difference there. So it says a lot. And the reason I've gone Zinchenko over Tierney, I think Martinelli plays better with Zinchenko, and that's just simple as the way it is. And with the way that they're going to try and get Emerson Royale running forward, Zinchenko's better at the defending aspect sometimes. So when he does get the ball, Martinelli have so much space in behind Emerson that I think it's there to be taken. Same with when Jesus cuts in from the left as well. And just like Alex said with his star man, it's very easy to just like the goal last season where Saka cut into Smith Rowe. I think we're going to see a lot of Martinelli passing it through to Saka. I think that's where a lot of our goals could happen. And if Xhaka and Partey can keep their form the way it was before the international break, I think we could actually bully the midfield as well. So hopefully we could go and have a good victory.
Absolutely. It would be preferred if that was indeed the case. Going finally to myself, I've gone for Tierney. I think that defensively, he probably is the smarter choice. There's also the injury, fitness questions around Zinchenko. Obviously, he didn't play in the international break. I know that Tierney did get taken off for that head issue, but that's not said to be a problem. He's trained without an issue, as far as I'm aware. So that should be fine. Gabriel Jesus is my star man because we finally have, in my view, a world-class striker that's going to be at the club for a number of years that potentially can be. I don't like using this term because obviously it hypes up one of Spurs' players, but let's be real, they've had their own striker for a number of years and we've not had that consistency beyond, say, 3 or so seasons. And I genuinely believe that Jesus could be our striker for well beyond that amount of time at the club. So we now have our own clear number 9, someone who elevates the players around him. And it's these types of games where you want to see Jesus really take it to the opposition and show that he is of that standard. So this is his first test after Manchester United. You'd say he's got a real opportunity to try and take the opportunities that are sent to him. And I think that's going to be the key one. Wilson says in the chat box, do you think it's important that Arsenal take their early chances against Spurs? What tends to happen is if a team scores early in a North London derby, you know, that especially in recent years, they've gone on to do pretty well. And so obviously we've seen in the past with that 5-2 game, I think back in 2012 and games like that where teams have turned things around. But, you know, especially in recent seasons, I think it's the team that scored first. You think of the 3-0, you know, away at Spurs last season that we lost. You think about the 3-0 lead we took in the home game last season. A team can get so much confidence. And especially the atmosphere that the Emirates is going to have tomorrow is going to be absolutely electric. Probably one of the best atmospheres, hopefully, that we've ever seen in that stadium with how things are right now, that it could be quite a level for the players and Jesus in particular to step things up. Paul, though, says, I expect Tommy Asu to start. He was recalled from international duty early, and I think White's been carrying a bit of an injury. If Tommy starts, I think we'll start with Zinchenko. I guess that would balance things easier. I am surprised that maybe no one went for Tommy Asu because defensively he's very solid, and, you know, against Son he has had a great time in the past and did really well against him in the last home North London derby. But perhaps White's consistency and, you know, promise this year has been great. So I think either would have been absolutely sound picks. We're going to round off this preview show, as always, with our predictions. So chat box, it's time for you to throw those chat comments in with your predictions. Kian, we start with you. Scoreline and scorers, please.
Oh, this is tough. I'm gonna go. I'd say I'm gonna go 3-1 again. Martinelli. I'm gonna go Jesus. And if he does start, I am hopeful that Ben White's gonna get his first. I'm gonna go with, and then Son, obviously. Who else is gonna score?
Yeah, indeed. Zamir.
I'm gonna go 3-0. And I'm going to go with Saliba, Saka, and Odegaard.
Oh, nice. I'm loving the positivity. Alex?
I'm going to go with 2-0 Arsenal. Jesus to get both.
Jesus to get both. I love that as well. Yeah, positivity around him getting the goals is always going to be very much welcomed. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Temi says 2-0 Ramsdale with the brace. That's optimistic to say the least. Not in the scoreline, but certainly in the score prediction.
Was that Dan? Did Dan change his name?
Yes, I suppose with Dan not, I can't see that. Maybe he's busy. Temi's taking on the role of Dan's crazy prediction. Rancid says 3-1 Jesus, Saka, Xhaka to get the goals. Omar says 2-1 Arsenal. I will play it safe with a Jesus double. Wartha says that Saka's going to score a penalty in this one. That would be good to see kind of that. No, I know he scored against Man United, obviously, but I feel as though a goal for Saka would really propel him forwards, especially in this one. And he hadn't scored, I think, in 17 games before the North London derby last year. So, again, it could be something that kickstarts his campaign. Paul says, I hope 2-1, but I'm expecting 1-1. Yumi says 1-1 as well, with Saka to score. Dan Hudson says, Tinny Tommy for me, but I can see Zinchenko and White start, but still a 4-2 Arsenal win. Nav agrees and says 4-2 Arsenal as well. Hugh's going for an Arsenal 3-0 win, which is my personal prediction with a Jesus hat-trick. For me, the scorers, I'd love to see Jesus get on the score sheet and Saka as well. But I'd just love to see Saliba score once again and celebrate like an absolute madman. We'd love to see that happen. Femi says 3-0 to the Arsenal as well. David says Perry Groves, Arsenal legend in the tour today, said 2-1 with a Jesus brace. Christian says 3-1 Arsenal. Gooner 8 David says 3-0 Jesus brace and Saka with 1. Steve's going for a 2-1. And Hoot's going for a 4-3 with an Arsenal comeback. That would be too much for the nerves, I think. Patrick says 5-0 Arsenal. V-Dub says 3-1. Always Jim says 3-0. And Turner hat-trick. Just wow. We're talking about Ramsdale goals being optimistic, but that's quite crazy. And Lynn says 2-1 to Arsenal with Dyer giving away a penalty to Jesus and Saka. I'll go through some more of your predictions as we wrap the show up. Just before we say goodbye to my brilliant panel of guests, as I said at the start of the show, you can go and check out Scene Sketch's brilliant Gabriel Jesus sketch merchandise with a link in the description. And also, I should say that we are up for the Best Club Content Creator Award. in the FCAs as well. So links in the description to vote via Twitter, Instagram, and on their website. You don't have to vote once. You can vote 3 times through all different methods. So if you haven't done so already, I encourage you, please, to try and help us out with getting further than we did last year, which would be amazing. Kian, thank you for your time, mate. Really appreciate it as always. Tell people they can find you and what you're going to be up to.
Cheers, thank you very much. Yeah, Reardon_Kean on Twitter. Not up to much, let's be honest. I'm watching Arsenal, that's what I'm happy about. Got the new PS5 as well, so I'm FIFA, that's where I'm going. Yeah.
No.
yeah, I'm one of them. Yes, but yeah.
I was
anyway,
so tempted to get it this year. I really was. But
it's
I'm
because Arsenal are actually good in it. You can actually play
I
with
think
them
that's
again.
it. Like, you want to get more involved with football, and I
Yeah.
guess FIFA's a really good way if you're not playing it to do that. But I just
The past and present Arsenal team is what I'm going to try and do. So
with the icons, yeah. I remember when the icons first came out, and Thierry Henry was still playing, and he had like an inform card at New York Red Bulls, and I had that card with Bergkamp and Pires and Lundberg, and it was a weird team, but
I just want the Cazorla hero to come out of nowhere, and that'd be me happy out. But yeah,
that would
anyway.
be. He's still is Cazorla in the game with the league because he plays in Qatar, doesn't he? So he won't.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
But he's still playing, so I don't think he would be able to get one of those heroes. By the way, that Marvel collaboration is one of the stupidest. And I'm a big Marvel fan, but it's one of the stupidest things I've seen.
Absolutely shocking.
Awful.
Peter Crouch,
this is quite funny, but yeah, honestly, what has that game come to? Zamir, thank you for your time, mate. Tell people they can find you, what you're going to be up to.
Yeah, you can find me in the Discord server. And please join the Discord, and you'll find me in there, and we can have a lot more non-PC talks about Arsenal and other things. And there's a great community in there. And again, like, I know I've been on after a while, so thanks, Tom, for having me on. But generally, like, I love our Discord server, and made a lot of friends in there, and it's like a family in there. So, if you feel like you need people to talk to and feel like joining and talking everything Arsenal and more, then feel free to join.
As I always say, it's genuinely one of the proudest things about the channel is that community and the Discord server. So yeah, if you want to join up as a member, help support the channel, become a part of an amazing community, and of course appear on the shows like these 3 lads have, link to that is in the link tree as well. So there you go. Alex, thank you for your time, my friends. I hope you enjoy your time in the Lake District. Tell people where they can find you and what you're going to be up to.
Well, you can find me on the Discord server, as Zamir said, and I think, I probably will do what I do every year with FIFA and say that I'm not going to buy it, and then come Christmas, I'll probably buy it and then be miles behind everybody for the rest of the year. So I think everyone loves to hate FIFA. I always want to be a bit different by saying I'm not going to buy it.
Being different is not buying FIFA. I'm just saying.
It's more being different by saying I'm not going to buy it. And then down the line, when I do buy it, everyone's like, oh, we knew you were going to buy it. All my mates are like, just buy it now, and then you won't have to buy it at Christmas. And I'm like, nah.
A friend of mine always says this, and then I'll say to him, like, have you got it? And he's like, I've already got like a mad team. You said that you weren't going to play it this year. You've already spent like $1,000 on FIFA points. Like, it's ridiculous. Absolutely. No, thank you, Alex, Zamir, and Kian, of course, for your time. Fantastic stuff. Chat box, if you could show them some love, they've been brilliant. You can find all of them, as they've said, in our Discord server. And obviously, all of them are very active in talking about different topics. We've got not just football, but we talk about mental stuff, including mental health, which is not so mental, but more serious, and other sports too, which is great to see. I can't reveal the image at the moment, but as I'm talking about the members in the Discord server, of course, Vinny's name comes to mind always. I can reveal that I'm very happy to announce. It's kind of just a nice thing. But for those of you that are aware of Poorly Drawn Arsenal, who is a brilliant creator on Twitter, did some fantastic videos with Granit Xhaka and Matt Turner during the American tour in pre-season. He has helped to create an emoji immortalizing Vinny. And we did that because Vinny, before he sadly passed away, reached out to me to be immortalized as an emoji. So I thought, who better than one of the best and funniest Arsenal content creators of art in the community to do that. So we'll be revealing that and hopefully adding it to the channel's emoji list very soon, and members in the chat box will be able to use and celebrate with Vinny after every win and every goal. So I'm looking forward to that. There's more stuff going on surrounding Vinny as well, which I'm looking forward to talking about and revealing. But for now, I hope that is made your day a little bit warmer. Thank you for tuning in. Do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and as always, up the Arsenal, and let's hope we absolutely spank Spurs tomorrow.